Hey, Momentum. I am so excited to be with you virtually from my house where I'm quarantined. I love your church. I love Dan. I was actually with you. I spoke there about 10 years ago, but it's been a while. So you're probably like, who's this guy? And so here's me. Here's my story. My mother's Jewish, and my father is a professional poker player here in Las Vegas. So you might guess they didn't take me to church much, and you'd be right. They never took me to church. And not only that, but no one ever mentioned Jesus to me. No one told me God loves me. No one invited me to church. So growing up, I knew literally nothing about God, Jesus, the Bible. I went to college, and on the Easter morning of my sophomore year in college, I was sitting in my dorm room waiting for my girlfriend to go out to lunch. She was late, as usual, and so I turned on the TV. We only got 3 channels in our dorm, and every channel had on what I consider to be a dumb religious show. And I would have just turned the TV off, but the last one I turned to looked potentially comical. It was this old man. He was sitting hunched down in this big red leather overstuffed chair, and he spoke. And I remember what he said to this day. He said, "Now, we've been talking about the last week of Jesus Christ's life, and today we're going to talk about," and then he named something. I don't remember what it was. It went right over my head. And then he said, "Now, most scholars believe that this event happened on the Tuesday of Jesus last week. But today, I will prove to you through the evidence that it actually occurred on the Wednesday of Jesus last week." And I thought about that for a minute. I was like, yes, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, I don't know anything about Jesus, but if he lived at all, it was like 2,000 years ago, and you're talking about Tuesday or Wednesday? Come on. Turned off the TV in disgust, knocked on the door, went out to lunch. But for the rest of that day, for reasons I could not understand, I kept thinking about that guy and what he said. I had all these questions like, why did he care if it was Tuesday or Wednesday? And would there be evidence for something from that long ago? And did anyone ever get him out of that chair? Just all these questions. And so that night I was sitting in my girlfriend's dorm room, and I noticed that she had a Bible on her bookshelf. I guess it had always been there, but I never noticed. And I said, "Hey, why do you have a Bible?" And she went, "Oh, someone gave that to me. I don't know." I said, "Could I borrow it?" And she's like, "You can have it. I don't want it. If you don't want it, throw it out. I don't want it." And I was like, "Okay." So I took the Bible back to my dorm room. Now, I had never touched a Bible in my life, and I didn't know anything about it. And opening it, I didn't know how it would be set up. I assumed it'd be kind of like the TV guide by day and time because of the whole Tuesday, Wednesday debate that was apparently tearing up Christianity. So I opened it, and it was a student Bible. It's a student Bible on the cover, and these are Bibles that are designed to help teenagers start reading the Bible. And so instead of opening it and being like Genesis 1:1, it said reading plans. And so I'm looking through, and it says reading plan through Abraham's life. I'm like, Lincoln, Moses' life, David's life, and then finally I see it says reading plan through Jesus' life. I thought, all right, I'll do that one. I mean, let's figure this out. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Let's do this. And so I start reading where it says to, and I had never read the Bible. I expected it to read like a tall tale or a myth, that it would start out, once upon a time, there was a man named Jesus who did nice things for people and did miracles, and he walked on water and fed thousands of people with some kid's Happy Meal, and he had a blue ox named Babe and could lasso tornadoes, and I would just throw out the Bible. But I was stunned when I realized that the Bible repeatedly puts time and place. It would say, in this time, at this place, Jesus did this thing. And then at this other time, when this guy was governor, this guy was tetrarch, this guy was mayor, Jesus came into this town and did this thing. And I realized, man, if you give a time and a place, like you can find out if it really happened, right? Like you can look at other historians from the time. There would be evidence, maybe not Tuesday, Wednesday, but so now I'm intrigued and I keep reading the Bible just to find out what it says. And I learned for the first time in my life that the Bible claimed that there was a God who loved me and who wanted to have a relationship with me and who wanted me to be with him in heaven forever and sent Jesus to die for me so that could happen. And I knew that I had to know. Like if this was true, I would become a Christian. And if it wasn't true, well, I could spend the rest of my life making fun of Christians for believing in something that I could prove was false because they gave dates and times. And so I spent the next months studying the Bible and going to the library to find evidence to disprove it. But those months of research led me to the volumes of evidence that support the Bible. And eventually, I had no room left for doubt. I knew that this book was true. And even more, I fell in love with Jesus. He was the most amazing person I'd ever come into contact with. And I knew I didn't want to live another day of my life without him. And so I gave my life to Jesus. I became a Christian. Eventually, I became a pastor. I started a church in Virginia Beach, and I started a church in Las Vegas, where I am now. And I think the craziest thing about my story is that no one ever told me. I mean, I didn't grow up in some jungle somewhere. I grew up in America, and no one ever mentioned Jesus. And what makes that really crazy is that is the mission Jesus has given to every one of his followers. The Bible says in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he sent his one and only Son." He gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. And then Jesus said in John chapter 20, verse 21, "As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." So God sent Jesus in love so that everyone might believe in him. And now Jesus has sent us in love so that everyone might believe in him. That's our mission. And just to be clear, when it says everyone is talking about God's lost kids, right? That's why this matters so much. Can you imagine losing your kid? This actually happened to my wife and I years ago when my kids were little. They were 5 and 3. We took them to a water park, and because they were 5 and 3, we didn't get to do the cool stuff. We did the kiddie pools, and they had a series of kiddie pools. So we went to the first one. The kids played in that one, loved that one. Then we had to walk 50 yards to the second kiddie pool down the sidewalk. Went down into the second kiddie pool. Kids loved that one, played in that one. Then we went back up the sidewalk, 50 yards down to the third kiddie pool. Went down into that one. Kids really loved that one because it had this yellow slide. It was probably maybe 10 feet high. They had to climb a rope ladder to get to the top and slide down. So my kids went up, down, up, down, up, down. And finally, my wife was like, "Hey, I'm going to go and stand under that mushroom shower umbrella thingy. And you can get me when you're done." And I was like, "Cool, go ahead." And so she went off. My son went up, down, landed, and said, "Where's Mom? Where's Mom go?" And I said, "Oh, she's under the mushroom shower umbrella thingy." And he was like, "Can I go get her?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so he ran off. My daughter proceeded to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, about 15,000 times. She would not stop. Finally, "All right, let's go get Mom and Dawson." And so we go over, and my wife is standing there under the mushroom shower umbrella thingy, and I don't see Dawson. So I was like, "Hey." She said, "Hey." I said, "Where's Dawson?" She said, "He's with you." I said, "No, I sent him over here to get you 5-6 minutes ago." She said, "I haven't seen him." Now, you're going to think I'm crazy, but my first instinct was to freak out. I thought, "Oh, I've seen this on TV. A water park is a perfect place to abduct a kid," and all these worst case scenarios. I'm like, "Vince, stop, calm down. He's here. It's a kiddie pool. He got distracted." And so I start looking around the kiddie pool, and there's lots of kids in it, but he is not one of them. I don't see him. Like, no, he's here. Look for a kid with light brown hair. Light brown hair. Nope. Okay, no, he's here. Look for kids with blue bathing suit. He's wearing a blue bathing suit. One of them will be him. He's not there. And I start thinking this thought: I am never going to see my kid again. I'm never going to hold my kid again. And I decided to run up to the sidewalk because then I could look down on the pool. I thought maybe he's behind something. So I ran up to the sidewalk, and there's tons of people, but I'm standing there looking in the pool, light brown hair, blue bathing suit. He's got to be in this pool, but he is not there. And I feel like my heart is going to pound out of my chest. I realize I would rather die than have to live the rest of my life without being able to see my kid again, hold my kid again. And so I start looking all over, thinking maybe he left the pool, and I'm running around. And finally I look up the sidewalk and it is crowded with people, but I thought I saw this kid weaving between people's legs, running in my direction. And I couldn't see the color of his hair really. I couldn't see the color of his bathing suit, but just in case it was him, I started yelling, "Dawson! Dawson! Dawson!" And finally this kid hears me and he kind of jumps up and I could see it was him. And so I start running through the crowd. He's running to me. I'm like pushing people. If you're wondering what it looked like, I think it was quite romantic as we ran towards each other. And finally we get to each other and he jumps in my arms and he is crying. He is sobbing. And I said, "Buddy, where were you? What happened to you?" And he said, "You said that Mom was under the mushroom, so I went to the first pool to find her, and she's not under the mushroom. I can't find her anywhere." And I was like, "Oh, no, she's in this pool." And he cried, and I just held him. And I held him, and I held him, and I realized in that moment that I understood what it's like to be God. Having those thoughts, I don't know if I'm ever going to see my kid again. I don't know if I'm ever going to hold my kid again, because God has countless lost children who are wandering around doing life without him, and he doesn't know. I think of what I consider to be maybe the most powerful verse in the entire Bible. It's in Jeremiah chapter 4. And God says, "Oh, my anguish, I writhe in pain. Oh, the agony of my heart. My heart pounds within me. I cannot keep silent." And it's like, whoa, like what's going on, God? Why is he talking like this? God doesn't usually talk like this. And then he says, "My people are fools. They are senseless children who have no understanding." And then God offers an invitation to his senseless children who have gotten lost without him. He says, "If you'll return to me." Our mission is to help God's lost kids get back into his arms. I mean, you think about how frantic I was for maybe 10 minutes at a water park, not knowing if I'd see or hold my kid again. Can you imagine what God's heart is like, knowing that there are so many of his children that he doesn't know if he'll ever see or hold again? And he has given us this incredible mission of helping his kids, his lost kids, know Jesus so that they can know him and they can spend eternity in his embrace. It's the most incredible mission in the world, and it's ours, and we need to engage in it. I know a lot of people get nervous and intimidated. It's like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I know the right things to say, and I don't know if I can answer all their questions. And we make it so complicated. And I want to tell you a secret that I have found in my life, and our church has found that works, and it makes it easy for you and easy for the person you want to talk to, because they're intimidated about having spiritual conversations, maybe too, right? So here's the secret. Ready? Lead with love. Lead with love. Don't lead with truth. Don't tell them what you believe and tell them about, Jesus, and tell them that they're wrong and what they're doing is wrong, what they believe is. No. Lead with love. What might that look like? Serve them. Look for any opportunity you can to serve them. Ask lots of questions and listen. People want to talk, and there's not many people who listen. Talk, ask questions, and listen. Just love people in any way you can. Lead with love. Everyone wants to be loved, right? Not everyone wants to know truth and wants to be convinced they're wrong, but everyone wants to be loved. And so love people in ridiculous ways, audacious ways, simple ways, any chance you get. And what will happen is, if you love them, eventually they'll ask why. If you love them like no one else loves them, they're going to say, "Man, why? Why are you the one who offered to go to the funeral with me? Why are you the one who offered to come and help me paint my living room? Why are you the one who invited me to your block party? Why are you the one who gave me the ride to the airport? Why are you the one who cleans up the office when nobody else does that kind of thing? Why?" And then you get to tell them about this God of love who has changed your life and has poured his love into your life, and it's just made it easy for you to love people. And you get to tell them about Jesus and what he did for you. And it won't be weird. It won't be awkward, because you've already shown it, right? That they want to know. And in those opportunities, you get to invite them to Momentum. And you guys go to such a cool church that somebody who is far from God and doesn't know the Bible could be really comfortable coming to and realizing, and there's a lot of cool Christians, and maybe this God thing actually makes sense, and maybe God could love someone like me. I'd also tell you, while we're in quarantine and with the whole online services, there may be no better time ever to invite somebody to your church because, they can come online. There's nothing intimidating about that. So invite them. Check it out online. See what it's like. You can do that. Right? You can love people. And if you do that, you will be doing your mission because you have been sent by Jesus. Jesus was sent by God in love so that everyone might believe in him. And Jesus has sent you in love so that everyone might believe in him. God has put people in your life, your neighbors, your coworkers, the lady who checks you out at the grocery store, and you think, it's just my neighbor, it's my coworker, it's the lady at the grocery store. But God is looking at that person thinking, light brown hair, blue bathing suit, like his heart is beating out of his chest because he doesn't know if he's ever going to get to see or hold them again. And you and I have this incredible mission that we get to help introduce them to Jesus. And so let's do the mission. Let's make sure there's no one like me who can go through life and never hear about Jesus, never hear about God's love, never get invited to church. Lead with love.